Hello everyone and welcome to the fifth video in this series of videos that will look at completing the Level 2 Essential Skills Wales ICT qualification. Now, in the last video we left off with completing the unformatted or the first draft of our spreadsheet. And what we did then was we printed it off using a header with a title, name and date, and we set it up so that it would print off on one page. So we'll be doing that as well for our formatted spreadsheet. Now if we have a look at this particular spreadsheet here, which is the one that I made previously, here's my draft version. You can see there's no formatting whatsoever in here. And then if I go to my final draft, you can see that I've included images, I've included borders around my text, and each cell, so that when it prints off, the tables have got the actual grid lines in between them. What I've also done is done a bit of basic formatting with the text, such as bold, you could use underlined or italics, and I've also used cell shading here on the actual headings for each table. And to show you the other example that I made, so you can see the difference with different layouts that you can have, in here I just use different colours for each of the different items or the different types of items, and I've included word art there, and I've included some images as well. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to do that, and for most of you, a lot of you will already know how to do this kind of thing, especially for things like the cell shading and applying borders, but it's just good for those of you who don't know to have a quick look at this. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to copy this particular worksheet here, because rather than type it all out again and then format it, I might as well just make a copy of it and put it into the same workbook. So this whole spreadsheet, when it opens up in this window, is a workbook, and within there are individual worksheets, like you can see here, and they're set up on different tabs. So if I go into mine here, what I'm going to do is right click down on the first draft tab, and I'm going to move or copy. And what I'm going to do, if I check this box to say I want to create a copy, and I'm going to move it, I could either put it to the very end, but if I click on sheet 2, or whatever your tab is named, it just whichever one is after the first draft, if I put it there, it'll go directly after first draft. I press OK, and it comes up and it's called first draft 2, because it's a copy. So I'm going to rename this as final draft, and that's done. So now I've got the two copies, and it's good to keep this copy here just in case there's anything wrong and you need to reprint it again. You won't have to undo all the formatting just to redo it. So I'm going to go on to my final draft, which looks exactly the same at the moment, and I'm just going to start applying some formatting, and this doesn't take very long at all. Now what I can do is I'm going to choose a colour, so I'm just going to go for this nice blue here. At the moment I'm selected on that cell. So I'm going to choose my title here, and I'm going to choose this blue colour. And what I could do is I could just choose blue, click on this one, choose blue, click on this one, choose the blue colour. However, it's actually easier to do it like this if I just undo that. If I click this cell here and hold the Control button, you can see that this is still selected as well as this one. I'm going to choose that title there, and I'm going to do that for all of the headings in my tables. And I can just click and drag that along to highlight those, and I can choose that one there. And if I press blue, okay, so the fill can icon up there allows me to fill the colour, and I can choose on the drop down menu any colour that I want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply some borders. Now if I highlight this whole section here, and it's easy to do this with individual tables, I can apply a border. And if I go up to here, when I've highlighted all of the cells that I want to put a border on, I click on this icon and I can choose which one I want. And I'm going to choose all borders, so it puts a cell around border around every single cell that I've got selected, like that. And again, another quick way to do this is if I click and drag over all of those cells and hold Control, click over those and click over these here, and don't forget your separate tables if you've done that this way, because each one of these is a little individual table. Highlight those and highlight those. Highlight. Yeah, I will put that right there, and this piece here. And don't forget the titles as well, because we want them around there. And just choose all borders because it's already selected, but if you want to just check, click down on the drop down menu, choose all borders. So that was easily done. Now, what we're going to do next, and this is just optional if you want to, what you can do is select a whole table like this, and I'll do it for all of these. I think this looks nicer because it makes it stand out. Select all of those again, like that, and like that. And I'm going to give those a thick box border, which puts it only around the outside, like that. I can also do this for my individual titles. If I hold Control and click on these, and I press thick box border, it just gives them a thick border like that. And I'll do the same for my 500 here. But as I say, you don't have to do the thick box border, it's up to you. So now we've easily applied cell shading, we've applied all borders to the individual cells, and what we've done now is put a thick box border around the outside. And if I go to File and Print Preview, you can see there that it actually, rather than printing them out with just the information, there's borders around all of the tables as well, which makes it easier to read when you print off. So that's that, and again, if you want, you could apply it to these parts here, because these are kind of titles in their own right. Apply a colour to those, and that's entirely up to you. Remember, how you format it and how you use cell shading is up to you, as long as you use it. Now, what we need to do next is apply a number formatting to this information here, all of our numbers, because at the moment they just show as values, whereas we need to show them as a currency value. So what I'm going to do, any cell which has a price involved in it, I'm going to highlight, and then I'll hold Control to select them all, like that, and these, and also this one here. And what I'm going to do then, you can either right click and you can go to, where is it now? Format cells, and it'll eventually pop up. It's been a bit slow at the moment, there we go. And I can go to currency. I can choose how many decimal places we want. We want 2 decimal places because obviously it's in pence. And I can choose the way that the number shows up. But what I could also do if I cancel that is I could just go straight up to here, and I can choose, just click in that icon, you can see that it automatically adds in the pound sign. And it's as simple as that. So that is number formatting, cell shading and borders. And the next thing we're going to look at is really to make those titles, and you can do this for all of your information if you want it to be really clear. I'm going to make all of my text here, my titles, I'm going to make these first of all bold. So I'm going to click that, hold Control and hold Control to select all of those. And I'm going to either do Control and B, as it shows you there when I hover over it, or I can just click on the icon. So I click bold, and I'm going to increase the size of the text. And what I want to do then is center align it. So I go over to my alignment panel, and I'm going to choose center align. And I can do this for all of these here. I want my titles to be bold, so I'll hold Control and select all of those. Like that. And make them bold and a little bit bigger. So I'll put them up to size 12. So again, I can put all of these in center align if I want. It's entirely up to you. Remember to add your own bit of creativity to this. Make it look as you want it to. Because of course we've all got our own personal preferences. So like that. Put that in the center. I'll put that one in there as well. Because another important thing that the examiner will look for is to see that you've used some sort of consistency. So that's the only reason that I usually choose the same colour for all of my titles, and usually choose the same font. You can change the font again if you want, and if you wanted to make this underlined, you could do. You could make it italicized, but that's entirely up to you. So there's the actual basic formatting for our spreadsheet. So now we've got a first draft, and we've got a final draft, which looks like that. Another thing that we should put in there really is a word art title. It doesn't matter whether you put it at the top here, it doesn't matter whether you put it here. We're just going to put that in. So I'm going to put in a title. I'm going to choose this. Now, once you can choose any of the word art, and you can actually change the settings of it as you go. along. But I'm going to type in appliances, so I'll put it on a separate line, spreadsheet, like that. And it automatically center aligns it like that in wordart. And what I can do then, if I double click to bring up the formatting, or you could just click format at the top, I'm going to change the text outline to the same blue that I actually used for the cell shading. Then I'm going to choose my text outline again and choose the weight and make it a little bit thicker so it stands out more clearly. And if you want, you can put a text fill in there, that's up to you. I'm not actually going to bother at this point, I'm just going to leave it as an outline, but that's up to you. So there we are, I've got some word art there. And another thing you could do as well, just to show the examiner that you've really formatted this spreadsheet, is go to insert picture, and you could choose a picture that you saved from the internet. Or you could just go to clip art, and I'm going to type in a search for kitchen, because mine's all about kitchen appliances. And what I could do then is just scroll down and choose one. You could either choose one of these. Word art, clip art has actually got a lot better over the years because now they've actually added real images in there. So let's say I want to add this one in. Double click it rather than drag it in. There we go. And let's say I want to get this one as well. Double click to bring that in. And these just so happen to be the same size, which is fortunate. But what we can do, just to show you how to resize your images so that they are the same size, obviously these are at the moment, is click on one, hold shift and click on the other. So that's shift this time, not control like it is with the spreadsheet in the cells. Shift, hold shift again, and it will drag them down to make them the same size. And what I could do then is just move these over here. Just going to get rid of the clip art at the moment. And then, if I hold shift and select both of them again, double click to bring up the formatting, and I'm going to give them a border. I'm going to give them a black border this time. Choose my borders, choose the weight, and like that. So I could put them down here, but obviously that's up to you. And there we go, I've got a fully formatted spreadsheet. So it doesn't take too long, and it's very, very simple, but you can see that you can make it look very effective. So then, again, when you need to print this particular spreadsheet, because we copied the previous spreadsheet rather than just making it all new ourselves, we've actually carried across the print-in formatting that comes on the first draft. So if I go to Final Draft and I go to Print, I don't actually need to worry about page setup and changing the options because it's already carried over from the previous sheet. And that's how we need to do it. So print it off, put it into your folder, and that's all you need to do for the formatted spreadsheet.